Hello, and welcome to the Opposites Art Lesson. My name is Brian.
My name is Bella.
And we're both art mentors with the California Family Life Center.
Opposites are two things that are entirely different from each other. Opposites are things like sweet and sour.
Or chocolate and vanilla, like this ice cream.
It could be like a herbivore and a carnivore, kind of like a T-Rex and a Brontosaurus.
Or even things like the desert and the jungle.
Yeah, like this Georgia O'Keeffe and Rousseau painting. So the supplies that we're gonna need for this lesson are gonna be oil pastels. I'm gonna be using white oil pastels on black paper. You can also use crayons if you have them. Brian is going to be using a black marker on white paper. And you're gonna need a glue stick and a hole punch if you have them. Another thing we'll need is recycled collage paper, and that can be anything you guys can find. It can be old envelopes, book pages, newspaper, anything that is black and white is going to work great.
And just something to keep in mind, if you don't have the black paper or this white paper, you can use things that you have lying around the house, like cardboard or old paper bags. It works just as well.
Yeah, and it also creates a really cool effect when you use things like this. So now our friend Julian is going to come in and show you guys how to get started on the lesson.
Hi, I'm Julian, and I'm going to be showing you how to draw a face using your opposite hand, which for me is my left. Now I'm going to be using a black piece of paper, and I'm going to be using white pastels. Now while you draw your face, make sure you give it an expression. It could be happy, sad, or even angry.
Or you can even go in with something like an irritated person, or someone that's smirking and smug, or even someone that just looks completely tired, yawning and just wants to take a nap, Just make sure that while you're going in and doing your face, you change up your line qualities, using different kinds of markers and different strokes with your markers and different size pastels. So here I used a thinner line, but I'm giving him thick, bushy brows. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be very abstract is the word that fits this perfectly. Just make sure that when you go in and work on your face, you're sectioning it off, keeping lines and distinct parts to your face, because we're going to be doing something special with the face in a few moments here.
We're going to be sectioning it off because we're going to be collaging, and we're going to be taking old pieces of paper and we're going to be gluing them onto your sectioned off face, which is what I'm going to do now.
And when you're doing your sections, you can have fun with it. You can make something square like this or do a spiral like that. Just use your imagination when you're going through the face.
I'm going to be taking a piece of paper that seems to have fur on it. Not sure what it's from, but
and a lot of people, when they're collaging, are very tempted to just work with the pictures on paper that they find. But something that you can do is use letters and words from, say, old homework or something. Because letters are shapes too. And those are shapes that you can use to create special kinds of patterns that you wouldn't really be able to with just pictures. So using a nice combination of both would be a good idea for when you're collaging your face.
I'm going to be using another piece of paper that has polar bear fur on it, which I think is pretty cool.
And it'd be smart to keep in mind what kind of paper you're putting next to each other. Because like say I'm putting my words paper right here, but then maybe right next to it I want to start using this walrus paper, because it's a nice distinction between the two. A nice difference. Especially in the color quality and the kind of paper it is. It's nice, it's fun to experiment on what you're going to be using.
Now Bella's going to come in and she's going to show you her work in progress.
Okay, so I have a face that I have gotten started on, and so does Brian. And I'm just going to keep working in my sections with different types of paper. So for this section, I'm using lots of old envelopes, and over here I use book pages. So I'm going to keep tearing off small little pieces and fitting them together, kind of like my own little puzzle piece.
And something that you can do when you're working on this part of your project is play some music. And while you're listening to it, let the beat of the song kind of dictate how you tear your paper, where you put something down, how you put it down, even next to what you want it. And to go even further on that, if you'd really like, invite somebody to have some fun with you. Put down paper with you. It could be your sibling, your best friend. You can even have your parent up in here. And just see what you guys can create together while working on your masterpiece.
Yeah, because basically what we're doing is we're creating a rhythm within our piece. When we repeat patterns, when we have them contrast each other and go back and forth, we're creating a rhythm in your face. And playing music really helps that out.
And don't be afraid while you're going in to revisit your lines and make sure that they stay just as visible as they were before the paper. Because the lines in the collage make up two parts of the complete whole. It's all important for your art to really shine and be what you envision it to be.
One thing you want to think about is where your light source is from. So that's just where the light or sun is shining on your face. So on mine, I think the light source is over here. So I have a lot of whites and lighter shades of gray. And on this side of the face, I have lots of darker gray values and black paper that I'm using.
And if at any point you feel like you're running out of space, don't worry, because you're not. If you go back with that hole punch we had talked about earlier and just poke a few holes through, you can start layering paper on top of paper to add a fun kind of texture, extra texture to your work. See how we have this paper here, but you still see the other kind of paper underneath. And if you don't have a hole punch, don't worry. A pencil works just as well to poke through. And if anything, it might even be a little nicer because it has a jagged little effect around it, just like the collaging.
Another thing you guys can do with those little, with the hole punch is you can use the little holes that you have left over, if I can get some out right now, and you can incorporate those on the face, like that. And you can create patterns in them and make swirls and pathways, and there's a lot you can do.
Just have fun with it. Use your imagination to the greatest extent that you can.
You can also add hair, and you do that by tearing long strips of paper that are thin. And you can have your hair however long you want, and in whatever direction you want it. It can be coming down over your face, it can be blowing in the wind one direction, it can be spiking up. You just kind of get to play hairdresser and figure out how you want your hair. And I'm just gonna put it here and figure out where I want to set it later.
And just keep on ripping and sticking, grabbing and sticking your paper. And if you'd like, even within your sections, you can have that negative space. Like you can have some part right here in the middle of it all, just white, or right here I've left space open. It's just whatever feels right.
Yeah, I did too. So I have a section that's kind of like a cutout in the face, and I'm just gonna leave blank, and it'll contrast the heavily collaged sections really nicely. And I'm gonna go in now with my oil pastel with my opposite hand and thicken up some of my lines like Brian was saying, so that I don't lose any of those really cool abstracted lines that you made with your opposite hand.
That's the important part. Make sure that you're still using your opposite hand when you're doing your work, because that's the fun part of it. Seeing what you can create with a hand that you're not used to using.
Okay, so unfortunately Brian and I don't have enough time to completely finish our opposite faces.
But while you guys keep on working, we've prepared an amazing art gallery for you guys made up of other opposite art done by art mentors and kids. And we hope that you have fun looking through it, maybe pull some inspiration from it, and just keep on going.
So stay tuned for that, and in the meantime, keep tearing,
keep collaging,
and keep gluing. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.